What's up, y'all? My name's Tim Ream. I'm here today on the 97th day of the spring cut. Gonna be doing shoulders today. Might get a wild hair up my ass and do calves, maybe triceps, probably triceps, don't know exactly just yet. We're all set up, so we're just gonna get right into it. We're gonna be doing rear delts. They're kind of one of the weaker body parts that I've got, so I'm gonna start with those, prioritize them, and then work our way around to the front. And start with some reverse flies, bent over. Do a few good warm-up sets and get into some heavier sets there.
To the initial start date of 75 hard the year before. All right, so you begin the year with 75 hard, you end the year with phase 3, and then in between there's 2 phases that you can do at any point in time. And the reason this is all spread out over a year, and it's less than half of your year that you're doing this, is because these are perishable skills. And just like, you know, hitting a golf ball or taking a shower every day, it's necessary to become aware that your discipline, your grit, your fortitude, your perseverance, your mental toughness, your confidence, your self-esteem are all constantly moving up and down.
Got about 8 movements in there for shoulders. 2 of those movements are going to be supersetted and won't last very long, probably 3 to 4 minutes tops for both those movements back to back. There'll be the shrugs for traps and then the 45-degree rotate and kind of like a military press. You'll see with the 45-pound plate. Really good finishing movement. If it goes like 30 minutes or something, I'll probably throw another exercise in there for shoulder or for triceps or calves. I don't know which yet. I probably will end up doing one of them.
Fucking brutal, terrible. It's like as he said it was like as bad as having hip replacement or worse. I can't remember exactly.
I don't know. I never had a hip replacement, but I tell you this, it was horrible.
Yeah. So let's talk about where
you're talking about the second day when I was home.
Yes.
And I had you call him and I said, bro, you definitely got my shoulder.
Well, because Andy,
bro, it was so fucking, it was, yeah, so I don't take pain pills.
Yeah.
So and my surgeon told me.
So I did something a little different this week, and it was basically how I staggered my routine. So I basically do chest, and then I usually do legs, take a day off, then I do back, and then I do shoulders. We got back, that's going to be really rear delt intensive. And then if I'm going into my shoulder workout the next day, I've already kind of hit that muscle group a little bit. So I ended up staggering just on accident my back workout and the leg workout. So I did legs yesterday. So it's kind of giving me 1 more or 2 extra days of rest that I wouldn't normally have with rear delts. You know, I don't necessarily like having a lot of overlapping in there where I'm working a muscle group, you know, rear delts on back and then the next day on shoulders. So just staggering them, give my body just that much more rest in between the movements, and you're essentially working it twice a week, even though one's not just directly on the rear delt, you know, and it's just kind of getting exercise in effect through the other motions you're doing, like with back. So, but you still are working it. It still is stress on the muscle, so it is still something that, you know, you're working it twice a week indirectly.
To the recovery process, because do you think it helped? Like, I know it helped your mental state to, you know, it was a fucking long road to recovery.
It's worse than that. First of all, the day I tore my shoulder, I was in the best physical shape I've ever been in my entire life by a lot. I was exactly where I was.
And I've kind of hit on this a little bit at times, but I mean, you'll go through periods where you're really into doing chest and you're really looking forward to it, and then that'll kind of run its course, and then you're on to like another body part, like, oh man, I'm into legs right now. Shoulders is one of those things I need to be prioritizing, and I'm starting to get geared up for it. I'm starting to like them, you know, starting to kind of get in the groove with them. It's kind of good to just be able to roll with what you're into. You know, if you're into chest, like, fucking roll with that. If you got the energy to do it, fucking do it. I'm not saying do it every time and let all the other muscle groups, you know, take the back burner. I'm saying, you know, take advantage of it. Hit it fucking hard where you have the momentum, where you have the mindset for it. Because this whole process is already hard. So, you know, if you can just roll with your body's natural rhythm and the way you're kind of in motion doing things already, then it's going to be to your advantage, I believe. Just add to that longevity, you know. We're looking to do this for a long period of time, not just, you know, a few days and then fizzle out. This is a time thing. This is a being consistent thing. That's all there is to it. So just working with your body's natural rhythm and kind of the flow is going to be better than just fucking going against the grain in every little bitty thing. So we drive this one home to failure here.
I wouldn't do it. So I finally found a guy who I happen to know my whole life, who's a tremendous surgeon, who's like, yeah, you know, fuck these people. And I'm like, all right, cool. But that took till December. So there was 3 months here, okay? So now remember, during that 3 months, by the way, I'm watching my physique deteriorate, and there's nothing I can do about it. I'm eating clean, I'm working out, I'm training my body, I'm training legs, you know.
And I don't want to be repetitive, but just to break down for our newcomers, I guess I'm doing, like I said, starting with the rear, because that's the weaker part of my shoulders. And then, but I'm doing 2 sets, 2 different exercises for rears, 2 for side, and then 2 for front. That's it, 1 for shrugs, and then that finishing movement I'm talking about. The only reason I'm only hitting 1 for shrugs is just to keep that volume low, where I'm not doing as much as overwhelming my body with the stress I put on it. Also, whenever you're doing shoulders, those lat movements, the side lat raises and stuff, that's hitting your shoulder, your traps too. So you kind of are working your traps out during this whole exercise too. So that's why I'm not doing a whole lot for shrugs and the trap movements. All right, and I was thinking about it. There's like a couple back movements that I'm gonna do, and I have been doing like our single arm pull downs like this, kind of grip, overhand grip. So I'm gonna start trying to maybe pull it from the underhanded grip, palms up, and see if I can get a better squeeze on that lat. So I feel like you're doing bent over rows. If you're pulling them towards you, like with your knuckles facing up, versus, you know, your palms up, I feel like you get a better contraction. I don't know what it is about that range of motion, but I'm also going to do that on the seated row, the seated single arm row movement too. I'm going to try to see about doing it underhanded. It's going to be bicep intensive, but yeah, I just want to see if I can get a better contraction and all that stuff with that movement.
So this picture, if you guys are on YouTube, so this was when you were getting out of surgery, you'd done your 8-week challenge, you had the best shape of your life, and this is when you started after you were pretty well healed. But I remember us taking this picture, and we were still like happy because you could still see some abs, because this is just you doing literally just.
That's just me doing 2 outdoor, or you know, I did 2 cardios a day. So I did on the days I would do my legs every 3 days, and then I would do.
No, I've got one more warm-up set on this, and then I'll do that all-out set. You know, just sitting here as I was kind of explaining that movement to you, I actually feel like just kind of over the last probably 4 weeks, I've really been starting to kind of put a good emphasis on the rear delt. Maybe like 3 weeks or something, but I actually just feel like it's a little bit more filled out, actually, now that I think about it. And once I actually feel it, I heard one time, if you're not seeing results after a week of doing something, then it sure as hell ain't going to be working after 2 or 3 weeks or a month or a year. So I mean, if you really should be seeing some sort of results either in the mirror or with strength or something for your effort within probably at least 2 weeks, I would say. I would say is a good thing. If you're lean, you could probably see it visibly. But I mean, you should be able to see something to give you an indication that if you keep on this path, then it's going to turn out good. So if you're not seeing something, making those micro adjustments and pivots early on, whenever you know there's not something productive going on, getting that shit out of there, dude, and finding something else that is more effective. But I feel like this is being effective, so I'm going to stick with it for a little while longer until I might find something better. I'll trade up for that.
And there was a number of other things that happened during that time that were like mentally very fucking destructive and hard to get through. And the reason I decided to end Lexapro literally was because I was at a point with DJing and doing CTI so much, I was starting to realize how predatory the pharmaceutical industry was. Because before that, I never really thought about it. I never really wanted to win. I want you to win too, because when you can win, it drives me to win. Okay? This is actually why my friends are such good friends. Like my friends that I talk to on a regular basis, Connie, Ed, Hermosi, like these dudes are hustlers. They go out and fucking crush. This is my brother. You know, the people I surround myself with, it's not that I want them to lose, but I still want to be there. Okay? And this is how I'm fucking wired. And so for me, having a simple legs,
Alright, I am down to 155 pounds. I think I might be actually smaller than that. If I get down to 140, 145, I'm going to be pretty happy. Abs are coming in really good. I'm carrying a little bit of water weight, so they're a little bit blurry, but basically just saying the spring cut's going good. This is actually the leanest and ripped I've ever been already. Seeing veins in my shoulders, seeing veins in places that I've never had before, so it's kind of getting really happy with the results. Could have probably done it a little faster, been more consistent, but I had to trial and error my way through the dieting process. I went really deep into the calorie deficit, was losing energy through the day, so I bumped up calories a bit. Then that wasn't enough, I did some fasting. Then I, started to do a little bit higher carb days for, carb cycling. So now I feel like I kind of have, for the most part, hit a good, consistent, okay, this is about where I need to be at to make this possible and comfortable at the same time and maintainable. So, could have done it faster, but I had to go through that trial and error process. All right, do seated dumbbell lat raises. Shoulders back and dropped.
Suicidal, legitimately, by the hour. Like I was fighting, the withdrawals were so bad. When I say anxiety, when I say paranoia, when I say depression, you guys, and you think of like the worst you've ever felt in your life, that's how I felt for 80 days straight. And the only way I got through that was by having the structure of the program. Real shit. Because I hit 75 hard those first 75 days. Of when I stopped. And I think that's the only way I made it through it.
Well, and I remember there were days that your tasks were the only thing you would do.
Yeah, that was it. And I got them done, bro. And
I'm getting like kind of tears like thinking about that time.
Now I've gotten it to where I don't actually have an arm day in this rotation I'm doing. I'm just doing a chest and bicep day. And typically like today it'd be a shoulders and triceps. Once in a while I get a wild hair at my ass and throw an arm day in there at the gym. If I feel like there's just not been enough volume that week, or I didn't hit triceps or biceps as good as I possibly could have. On those days I did have the option, but just kind of testing this out a little bit. I'm going to cross-reference it with the mirror and see if that abbreviated routine with the arms is beneficial. I'm sure it will be strength-wise, but is it enough hypertrophy to see muscle increase too? So just kind of monitor the progress. I could use a little bit of a deload anyways, so I've been really at it really hard for the last almost 3 months basically. So I've had some lighter weeks in there, but for the most part, I've been going balls to the wall the entire fucking time. So basically, I hit biceps on chest day, but on my, back day, you're gonna hit biceps that day too. So in effect, you're kind of hitting them twice a week, but not directly on one of those days.
The big reason why I sort of withdrew from my contact, a lot of shit, and like, I just didn't feel good, dude. I didn't feel like the bad motherfucker that I had been in the past. And the thing that I recognized about being on Lexapro, like, this is something that people, like, you don't realize this till you come off of it, but it actually makes you immune to the good things in life, too. So it numbs you from the bad shit, but it also makes you not care about the good shit. So you don't really ever feel real emotions. And one of the hardest things was
one of the good things about doing rear delts first is that's probably going to be the majority of people's, or one of the majority of people's body parts that's really lacking behind. And so the benefit of doing it first in the shoulder routine is like right now while I'm doing side lateral raises, like dude, I can feel there's some activation in that rear delt still. And if you can collapse time in between all these sets, to where you're not just going totally cold before you move into those other sets you're doing for the sides and fronts, then you can keep that burn going the entire time with the rear delts. And there's just that much more stimulus on them. So I think it's actually a really good way to bring that body part up is doing them first. And then they're kind of catching a lot of the brunt of a lot of the other movements too.
I think they can have the highs, so you care less about everything, and you're willing to look at what they do to the population, which is make you struggle financially, make you struggle physically with your health, potentially poison you with chemicals and things in the water and the air, like and plastic, like all these things you do to people, you don't give a fuck, you don't have any emotion. So like, and dude,
making pretty good time on this. We're at the 20-minute mark. And I've been talking a little bit too. Definitely gonna have time for another workout or exercise within this workout. Probably do triceps. Probably 5 sets of some triceps to like failure. 3 different exercises. You'll see, it won't be a whole lot. But what I do for triceps is gonna be very heavy as I can possibly go, with a really good contraction, a really good squeeze. So those 4 to 5 sets that I actually do are gonna count big time. So keep talking about once you do quality movements to failure from just a couple different angles or different grips. I'm telling you, dude, that will fucking smoke any type of marathon type of training you have. Oh, let's do 200 reps and this. That's fucking stupid, dude. I don't agree with the training method because I've done it and I just didn't see that good of results from it. The best results I've ever seen in my entire life is doing very brief and infrequent, heavy, but intense, as long as I can for very few sets. It's the best way I've ever gotten results, dude. Just a maximal load on your body, as intense as you can, as long as you can, but only just a few of those, types of exercises for a workout. Just keeping that volume low so your body can really actually cope to the stress you're putting it under. I was thinking about this yesterday, I'll go into it in a second.
When you see an athlete, people have a picture with an athlete, right? Or you see like a rack, you're like, oh, I saw a rack. For me, it's different because of the nature of the sport. Alright, so with me, I put out personal development so long at a high level that lots of people out here who have actually benefited from the content. And when they see me, they're telling their story. When they tell their story, it's always a good story. But to get to the good part, they gotta tell the worst part is, they're telling you these stories, but they're telling you these stories so that they can tell you how they became these stories, and which I appreciate, right? They're like, dude, let me tell you something. Like when you stand in a meet and greet line for 3 hours and you hear 1,000 fucking stories like that, it will crush your soul. You don't understand that. And so in medicine, on the pills, I was able to meet people and hear their stories.
Okay, what I was gonna say is, most people, I'll take my example. I feel like for so many years, I was overloading my body with the amount of exercise that I did, and my body's resources were always kind of running behind on keeping up with that stress stimulus. And most people don't realize that overtraining is the exact thing that keeps you from growing. If your body hasn't even compensated to the stress you put it under, then adding another workout to it is just gonna, you haven't even coped to the stress yet. So I feel like there's an aspect of where your body's resources are always running behind the stress that you're putting it on because you're working out so damn much. And then I think there's this flip side where you're not doing that much and your body has total ability to cope to the stress. And then you go on to the next workout, stimulate the growth, and then your body has time to adapt to that stress. So it's almost like you're putting the horse before the cart now, and you're actually letting your body's resources be the thing that's out in advance, kind of preemptively attacking the stress you're putting it under, and letting them always be in have strong reserves of those resource abilities and chemical resources, rather than just keeping them overwhelmed. And you do that for 4 or 6 weeks, then you might have a deload week to let them catch up. Like, dude, if you can just kind of move your body's rhythm, I think it's obviously going to be the most beneficial. So just something I was thinking of yesterday. Those were our 2 side delt movements. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to do one variation of the movement over here. We're going to do military press for the fronts. And then I would usually go over to the cables and do a military press for the isolation factor. But I'm just going to pull the pin out of the machine so I can get that, isolation factor with both arms going. But I'm going to do the regular bulk military press first. Run a couple good warm-up sets here.
When you're talking about suicidal thoughts, you're not there yet, bro, until you're planning it. And you're like, how do I do this with nobody finding out? Or how do I do this with minimal disruption? Or how do I do this so Emily doesn't have to clean up my brains on the floor? Like, that's when you start that's when you're in that place, okay? When your pistol is in your nightstand all you can think about is pulling it out of your nightstand and blowing your brains out. Every single fucking other minute, you're starting to have, and it doesn't sound bad. Like, it doesn't sound like, oh, I'm scared of this. It sounds like, damn, dude, I just kind of want to do this.
I had a short the other day, and basically was saying, dude, most people don't realize that you don't grow in the gym. You grow at home with the right rest and nutrition. In the gym, you just basically kick the growth mechanism into gear. Like, you just stimulate the growth in there. Most people have the cart before the horse. They're trying to go to the gym every day and trying to get bigger by being in the gym, but actually, it's you being at home is what produces the growth. And I advocate like 3 to 4 times a week, very heavy and intense workouts, but very brief, you know, about 45 to 50 minutes. 3 to 4 times a week I think is plenty for natural bodybuilders. But that being said, one guy was like, stop it. People are gonna think that they're gonna get to the Olympia stage by what you're saying. I'm like, dude, that's not where I'm headed with it at all. Like, but if you want to get technical, the person I got this routine from was Dorian Yates, and he kind of changed the game with 4 days a week, 45 to 50 minutes per workout, and he literally changed the game of bodybuilding. So, I don't know, dude, I think you're the one that's wrong, actually, because people can get to the Olympia competition and win them 6 years in a fucking row with the training methods that I'm talking about. Because as it turns out, this is where I got the fucking training methods from, stupid. You're the one that's wrong, buddy. But anyways.
And so you had, you know, we both regularly get our labs done, get our blood work done, and I'm not going to go, but I have a 13-page analysis here from your labs. But the cool thing about this is this happened very beginning of the year. We had our last labs done that we discovered this, is that, you know, you've always joked around like, oh, I got the fat gene, I got the fat gene. You know, just like what people say, like the husky, the big bone.
But I actually had it.
You actually, no, you did not.
Oh, had another comment today. I was talking about deload weeks. If you can put a week in there where you're totally off after 4 to 6 weeks of intense, heavy, hard stimulus and training, and you take a week off after that, then it's going to help your body's resources catch up, and then it'll help you keep making progress because now you're all caught up, but it's also going to help reduce plateaus. And somebody else is like, they said one word in the comment, they're like, wrong. I'm like, okay, obviously you don't like hearing the truth, or you don't like taking a deload week and you like just training really hard for your ego, and what I said triggered you, or you're just completely ignorant on how the body works because you only have a finite amount of resources. But he's like, wrong. And I have found that people who have reasons lead with the reasons rather than an insult. Whenever you don't have the reasons to back up your claims, then the best thing you can do to try to get somebody else to move off of their argument is to try to insult them and group shame them. Like, hey guys, look at him, he's stupid, ain't he? It's like, dude, you don't actually have any fucking reasons for saying wrong, or you would have led with those. And what I said wasn't wrong, so I know you're wrong. I don't know, dude, it's kind of your fucking problem. It's a heavy set to failure here.
Activity was enough for you to turn these genes off. This is like a text directly from your doctor saying, hey, guess what? If you can work out and eat good and have a high protein diet.
You can defeat your genetics.
Yes, and what it's, well, you know what? He also verified that too, because I said, oh, that's awesome, thank you so much, you know, blah, blah. And when he texted this, it said, no worries, 75 hard versus jeans, guess who wins? Because he knows the program and how well it works. And so with us like joking about you having the fat gene, coming home and telling me that, because he's awesome, he came here to eat and like, you're not going to believe this. And I was like, what? I don't have any fat gene. I fucking have all of them.
Okay. I've heard of training the rear delts first, but if you train rear delts, then your side, then the fronts, well, the fronts are typically more load bearing, especially with your military press. Those are going to be a lot of your heavier movements. So I kind of stayed away from it because I know it's almost like you're doing your easier movements at first, and then whenever you're more exhausted, then you're starting to do your heavy fucking movements. I'd like to kind of have those heavy movements in the beginning, but I got to prioritize the rear delt, so the cards are just kind of falling how they're falling, you know. But definitely that I'm getting into these last couple sets, I'm like, you can definitely feel it. And I've still got shrugs to do, and the shoulder rotate, and then triceps. So it's kind of the Friday, or not Friday, but shoulder day. It's kind of more extensive routine than I would like, but I mean, just it is what it is right now. And what the military press movement we just did was two-handed. The bars were connected, but on this one, I took the pin out. So now these arms are floating free. So in effect, I am hitting an isolation movement with this military press.
In your mind, you have to condition your mind to be able to adhere so that you can then change your health. And these things do not compete with people because of the way the weight loss and the pharma industry and everybody wants weight loss. Like, let's look at the marketing of most weight loss for some history. Most people take this drug and you'll lose weight. Take this drug and you'll lose weight.
Okay, give it just a second, I'll do that superset I was talking about. I've covered the shrugs before, and why I don't like barbell shrugs,
That's not a lot of investment for 4 years.
and why I prefer these
What if
to the barbell shrug.
days you could do enough work to get most of the way there physically and create the awareness mentally of what actually the problem
I feel like you can get way more isolated
Now
with this movement.
in pretty good physical shape.
Good strong contraction at the top, squeezing. You kind of lean back or forward, kind of find exactly where it's pinpointing that trap. Squeezing, and then a really slow negative on the way down
We're talking about a
into a full stretch.
amount of investment to create most of the physical
And then you're just gonna basically
that you would
let that burn get introduced.
all right?
This whole movement takes probably a minute and a half or 2 minutes.
And now
Just keep repeating that
we're not only are
until you got really good activation in the traps. And then you can start driving home some single reps or some just regular faster reps. Now that you've kind of created a weak link in those traps and warmed them up, got them pretty exhausted.
It equips me to push through hard times. Okay, and I had a guitar teacher one time tell me, he says, Andy, you're the least patient person I've ever met. I said, well, what do you want me to do? He goes, well, I want you to practice patience. I said, how do you practice patience? He says, by doing things that require patience. All right, and discipline is no different. Grit's no different. Perseverance is no different. Okay, you have to put time into these hard things so that you understand that you have the ability to do hard things, and then the next time the hard things show up, you have the confidence, which builds your confidence, builds your self-esteem, to actually push through the hard times, to continue on the path of what you told yourself.
Alright.
And when you can do what you tell yourself,
This is the superset I was talking about.
in control of your life, when before you thought that you weren't. You were looking at everybody else who is successful. You're looking at everybody else who's fit. You're looking at everybody else and you're telling yourself a story. You're saying, that guy's fit because he has better genetics. That person is successful because they got lucky. Not because they work from the time they wake up to the time they go to bed. Like, we tell ourselves all these stories. And once you remove those stories because you are aware, you start to be aware that, holy shit, this is actually becomes a whole new world. Now your life opens up to you. You become aware that whatever plan you set forth in front of you, you can achieve because you have the ability to adhere and you have the ability to know what to do when the hard times come. And here's the thing about life. Guess what? It's yin and yang. And if the yin represents the good times, the yang represents the bad times. How much percentage does that represent of the bad times?
Okay. That is the full shoulder progression and workout. I'm gonna move over here and do 4 or 5 good sets to failure with triceps. Obviously, shoulders are a pressing movement already. There's definitely some activation in the triceps, and they're probably pretty good and warmed up already, but still gonna hit a few filler sets just to get my mind connected with the part of the head that I'd like to work out, which is the inner head. So take a few filler sets to get connected with that part of the muscle, get it burning, get it a little pre-exhausted. So whenever I move into the other exercises, then there'll be a lot more emphasis on that inner head Whereas if I didn't warm it up, then, you know, it's probably gonna be more of the outer head of the tricep, whatever. I was just straight up copying Dorian Yates's whole entire blood and guts routines. And I'm just gonna talk about the tricep portion of it. He did skull crushers, laying down, and then he did tricep extensions. And then he just did single arm, kind of a reverse tricep extension. And I was doing the skull crushers, and I think they're a really good movement, but they were just putting so much strain on my elbows that I ended up having to just stop doing them. I got up on some pretty good weight with them, but you know, if your elbows can handle them, more power to you, but mine, I just didn't feel good after several weeks of doing it, so I kind of just moved to a different exercise. But anyways.
You're going to say, oh, I don't have time to do this, and then you're going to start doing it, and you're going to be like, dude, I was totally lying. Like, I have all this time. And now I actually have more time because I'm organized on executing. Okay, so that's the first thing. You're going to realize that you're full of shit. That's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Don't say that in a bad way. Everybody here needs to realize that you're full of shit. Okay, because once you realize you're full of shit, you can work on not being full of shit. All right. So the second thing that's going to happen is that your ability to tolerate excuses, and your ability to tolerate mediocrity, and your ability to be around people who are just like the normal type person, where it's like, hey, come on, man, what difference does it make? Just have one beer and hang out with it, bro. And I encourage you guys, before you start adding a bunch of weight, just go over there with very minimal weight and play around with the movement. Standing back a little bit, elbows are flared out, try that. Come in a little bit if you need to. Put your elbows in. Okay, that is targeting specifically. Like, find the right range of motion, find the right placement with your feet and elbows. Leaning forward, is it better, is it back? And kind of figure that out where there's no or barely any weight on there. And once you do find that range of motion that's just like perfectly hitting the part of the tricep you want it to, or whatever body part it is, then start adding weight and get your form down. If you can get your form down, then strength and the weight will come later. But that's going to be kind of fundamental. But just kind of thinking out loud, trying to give some relative or general tips that I have found to be useful in my exercise career. It ain't a career, but in my duration of exercising over the years.
Those people want to do that with you, and they say, oh, dude, just relax, blah, blah. But then they compliment you on the shit that you have achieved. So it's like, which way is it gonna, you know what I mean? Like, which way is it gonna end?
Bro, I can't even talk.
But it's no coincidence where, life was back in 2009 to where it is now, and how your mental development and, developing that mental toughness has been able to get you, to the point where you are today. And a lot of people just...
Man, every time, dude, it's fucking good, man. One more warm-up set. Definitely feeling a good pump. Got some good activation going there, so if I can drive it home with one more warm-up set, and then we'll get into our heavy sets and our other exercises for the triceps.
Alright? So I unplug the heating element on my cold plunge, and then I plug the chiller directly into its own outlet, and I can get the thing to go to 35. Alright? And it's highly not recommended by the factory because it'll burn your chiller out. But guess what? I'm rich, and I can buy another chiller if it burns out. Alright? That's reality.
No, he was literally like, how do I get this thing cold?
So I don't give a... So when it burns out, I can buy another one. In fact, I'm pretty sure they'll give me one because I've sold more cold plunges for them than any other influencer.
True.
Okay? So the reality is, I do it at 35. And I posted it one day. And I get this message from somebody that you all know who's like, the physical benefits are only blah, 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 blah. And you know what I found?
Alright, wasn't going to be my set to failure, but
That's why you're...
just went ahead and drove it home anyways.
It was cold as fuck. It was 18 inches of snow, and we had to do our normal. We got 45 minutes in, and we were halfway on our normal route, which means our same route that would take us 45 minutes was now going to take us an hour and a half, and we realized that about 25% in. So we were like, okay. And we had a conversation, remember? And we said, should we just turn around here? Because we turn around here, it'll be 45 minutes, and then we were both like, no. They're trying to see what he's like. What's he really like?
So fucking annoying, and people in my DMs are asking me, it's like, so what's it like to live with Andy? Like, is he really like that? I'm like, yes, the operator all the through time. And it's just like, I can't do that. You know, or they feel like,
I don't understand. I have to. I don't have a choice.
doing, it's
I don't have a choice. You can't do what I'm doing and not be that way. That's what they don't get.
Yeah.
Like, it's not me trying to like, be a hard.
Alright, and this right here is my favorite tricep exercise. And I like to stay on the heaviest amount as possible to where by the time I get 10 reps, I've done probably at least 2 or 3 assisted reps in helping that. So I like going as heavy as absolutely possible to where I can still get a good stretch at the top and a good contraction there at the bottom. If you keep the wrist kind of supinated and directly parallel with the cable rather than across, yeah, if I keep parallel with the bar and my wrist palm up, I can just get a way better squeeze on that tricep in the back.
You see people living this careful life, and this more fun life, and you throw away those dreams, and you put this new thing in there, you're going to hate yourself your entire life. You're going to have fun for a few weeks, maybe a few months, maybe even a year. But after a while, that version of yourself that you know you're supposed to become is going to creep back into your heart, and you're going to have tons of regret about not willing to put in and create that. It's gonna feel
The one thing I think about with balance, you know, because I've never believed in balance, I never really thought because, you know, I'm an entrepreneur as well.
he's still a hundred.
Alright.
Yeah, he's what is he, almost 70?
But one thing, quote that I like that to me, like when you have balance, the scales is zero. Nothing's happening when actually both the scales balance is zero. So these people that want balance in their life, I always ask them, what have you done to make you want to have that balance? Because so many people just think balance is it's a trend, like, oh, I need to have 50% of my time with my family and 50% at work. But how do you run through the thing? It's extreme for me. I need to kind of pull back the reins a little bit to have that balance. I think a lot of people have the idea of balance instead of actually asking, what is my balance?
Okay, a little bit too heavy, but I'm going to drop weight a little bit. I want to get a little bit more focused on that movement here.
That's going to take a little bit more living in advance. Okay? And then there's levels in between. The ultimate lesson here is this. Everybody's on their own. And I don't want to judge someone for wanting to do free and easy. I just want you to understand that there's a cost to that. And the cost to have that isn't going to come until later. Alright? So really the truth is, most people need to shut the f up and focus on that version of themselves they want to become and actually be willing to become it. And that's what's ultimately going to create the fulfillment that you're looking for. It's not going to be your cold plunge. It's not going to be your morning routine. It's not going to be your journaling. It's not going to be your grounding. It's not going to be your granola lunch. It's not going to be you living in the f***ing bed.
Okay, usually wouldn't do a drop set on that, but went a little too heavy on that first movement. And I told you guys I'm only doing biceps once a week and then triceps once a week. So if I walk out of here not feeling like I really isolated it, and I know I've got another week before I'm working it, then I'll go ahead and take that extra set just to make sure I drive it home with a good burn, a good pump, good contraction and squeeze and stretch at the end. Just to make sure, you know, I hit it good because I've only got once a week to do it. That being said, today was day 97 of the spring cut. It was shoulders and triceps. I appreciate you guys who are following along with me, engaging with me in the comments. If you like the way that I break the workouts down and the way that I take you through them, I just ask you to please share, like, and subscribe. If you guys don't like them, that's cool too. We'll part as friends. That being said, I'm going to start extending some of my knowledge to you guys. So I've left my email in the About section on my YouTube page. So if you guys are looking for routines, get your macros right, just to get you guys' general fitness goals clarified and straightened out, then hit me up in the comments or on my email. Alright guys, that was day 97, shoulders and triceps, and I will see you not tomorrow, but the next day. Alright guys, see ya.